A student's overview of the ageless wisdom was carefully compiled from the following books by Alice A. Bailey. A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Esoteric Psychology, Volumes 1 and 2. Esoteric Healing. Esoteric Astrology. The Rays and the Initiations. Students are encouraged to download the free PDF version of this overview by following the link in the video's description, or to order a printed copy at cost from thebookpatch.com, but are advised to read the original, unabridged books in order to gain deeper insight into the ageless wisdom. Students are also invited to join our online study group at facebook.com/groups/students of the ageless wisdom. Chapter 16, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. The Agnishvatas, solar angels of the mental plane. We start now upon the consideration of the Agnishvatas, the fire devas of the mental plane, and are thus launched upon the most stupendous subject in connection with our planetary evolution. It is the one having the most occult significance for man, as these solar angels concern his own essential nature and are also the creative power by which he works. Man must scientifically comprehend the laws of his own nature and the constitution of his mode of expression, as well as the interrelation of the three fires, in order that he may himself, at some future date, blaze forth. The work of the Agnishvatas, the self-conscious builders of the egoic body on the higher mental levels, is to unite the higher three principles, Atmabuddhimanas, and the lower three, and thus become the middle principle in man. They, themselves, originate from the logoic middle principle, and thus the esoteric seven is completed. The physical body in its denser manifestation is not esoterically considered a principle. For clarity, the subject to be considered is 1. That fifth state of consciousness called the mental plane. 2. The substance of that plane as it exists in its dual aspects, rupa, in form, and arupa, unmanifested. 3. The lives who ensoul that matter, especially in relation to man. 4. The egos, or the self-conscious units who form the middle point in manifestation. 5. The building of the causal body, the opening of the egoic lotus, and the construction of those groups we call egoic groups. 6. The individuality of those existences whom we call Agnishvatas, Manasa Devas, Fire Doyanis, Solar Angels, or Solar Pitris, and the Asuras. The fifth principle. The solar angels are the Pitris, the builders of the body of the ego and the producers of individualization of the realized consciousness, the Agnishvatas, the great devas of mind. The section now approached concerns the development of the divine Manasaputras, viewing them as a collective whole, containing the divine mind, and considering the individual monad, who responds to their life as a part of the body of these Dhyani Buddhas. A. Cosmically considered. At the very beginning of this study of the fifth principle, it should be pointed out that the divine Manasaputras, on their own plane, must be considered from the standpoint of physical incarnation, whereas man can be considered from what is, for him, a spiritual aspect. Human individualization, or the emergence of the self-conscious units on the mental plane, is involved in a larger development, for it synchronizes with the appropriation of a dense physical body by the planetary logos. This body is composed of matter of our three lower planes. As the etheric centers of the Manasaputras on the fourth cosmic etheric plane become vitalized, they produce increased activity on the systemic mental plane, the cosmic gaseous, and the consciousness of the heavenly man and his life energy begins to make itself felt. Simultaneously, under the law, mind force or manasic energy pours in from the fifth cosmic plane, the cosmic mental. This dual energy, contacting that which is inherent in the dense physical body of the Logos itself, produces correspondences to the centers upon that plane, and the egoic groups appear, composed of those atoms, or types of lives, which are a part of the fourth creative hierarchy, the aggregate of purely human monads. Similarly, this triple force, produced by the conscious appropriation by the heavenly man, animates Deva substance, and the dense physical body of the planetary Logos is manifested objectively. Students should ever bear in mind that all occult subjects can be expressed in a twofold manner. 1. In terms of the three worlds, or from the standpoint of the Logoic dense physical body. 2. In terms of force, or energy, from the standpoint of the Logoic body of prana, or vitality, from the four cosmic ethers. Hylozoistically considered, hylozoism, the philosophical point of view that life is inherent in all matter. All of the planes of our system, viewing them as Deva substance, form the spirale in the physical permanent atom of the solar Logos. All consciousness, all memory, all faculty is stored within the permanent atoms, and therefore, we are consequently dealing with that consciousness. It is on the atomic subplanes that the Logoic consciousness centers itself, and without permanent atoms, the body ceases to exist. This may provide some idea of the illusory character of manifestation. We are, at this period of manasic inflow and development, concerned with the coming into full vitality and activity of the fifth Logoic spirale, and this vitalization shows itself in the intense activity of the mental plane, and the threefold nature of the electrical phenomena to be witnessed. 1. The atomic subplane manasic permanent atoms positive / masculine. 2. The fourth subplane mental units negative / feminine. 3. The egoic groups causal bodies equilibrium / neutral. The response of Deva substance to the inflow of force on the mental plane has a threefold effect in connection with the Logos or the subtinate. 1. It produced a greatly increased vitality in the Logoic centers on the fourth cosmic ether, due to the reflex action which is felt both above and below the plane of activity. 2. It stimulates the efforts of the highest specimens of the third kingdom, and a dual effect is produced, for through this, the fourth kingdom in nature appears on the physical plane and the triads are reflected on the mental plane in the causal bodies. 3. The dense physical is linked with the etheric bodies of the solar and planetary Logo, and, therefore, the three lower planes are synthesized with the higher four, and the devas of an earlier Mahamanvantara, or solar cycle, are brought into conjunction with those of a newer order, who were awaiting the right conditions. This consummates the physical incarnation of the Logos, the lower three kingdoms, being negative to the higher force, the mutual attraction of these two and their interaction bringing the fourth. The three fires of matter-mind spirit are blended until the work-full self-consciousness is begun. Students should study the significance of the numbers 3, 4 and 5 in the evolution of consciousness, not just in their matter aspect. The triad, for instance, is usually considered to be a triangle formed by the manasic bodhikatmic permanent atoms, the cube for the lower material man, and the five-pointed star is also usually given only a very material interpretation. All of these perspectives are necessary, but they lay the emphasis on the material rather than upon the subjective. Nevertheless, the subject should be studied psychologically. To illustrate, the five-pointed star on the mental plane signifies, among other things, the evolution by means of the five senses in the three worlds, which are also capable of a five-fold differentiation, of the fifth principle, the attainment of self-consciousness, and the development of the fifth spirala. On the Buddhic plane, when flashing forth at initiation, this number signifies the full development of the fifth principle, the completed cycle of the ego upon the five rays under the Mahachahan, and the assimilation of all that is to be learned upon them, but also the attainment, not only of full self-consciousness, but also of the consciousness of the group wherein a man is found. It infers the full unfoldment of five of the egoic petals, leaving four to open before the final initiation. The solar angels and the fifth principle. Where man is concerned, these solar angels, the Agnishvatas, produce the union of the spiritual triad, or divine self, and the quaternary, or lower self. Where the Lorgo are concerned, they produce conditions whereby the etheric and the dense physical become a unit. They represent a type of electrical force, and their work is to blend and fuse, and above all else, they are the transmuting fires of the system, those agents who pass the life of God through their bodies of flame as it descends from the higher into the lower, and again as it ascends from the lower into the higher. They are connected in their highest groups to that portion of the Lorgoic head center which corresponds to the heart, and are therefore the clue to the mystery of karma manas, or desire mind. End of page 76. The kamic angels are vitalized from the Lorgoic heart center, and the manasic angels from the Lorgoic head center via the point within that center that is connected to the heart. The solar angels exist within three groups, all of which are concerned with the self-consciousness aspect and are energized and connected with the fifth spirala of the Lorgoic permanent atom, and all of which work as a unit. The solar devas in Group 1 are of the highest order and are connected with the Lorgoic head center, whether solar or planetary. They work with the manasic permanent atoms and embody the will to be in dense physical incarnation. They are the life, power and substance of the atomic subplane and the second. Those in Group 2 are definitely connected with the causal bodies of all egos and originate from the Lorgoic heart center and express that force. The third group, corresponding to the throat center, show their power on the fourth subplane through the mental units. They are the sum total of the power of the ego to see, hear and to speak, or sound, in the occult sense. Individualization, the work of the solar angels. The causal body has its place on the third subplane of the mental plane, the lowest of its abstract planes, and the one whereon the ray of the third logos provides the necessary light for construction. This is because each subplane comes specially under the influence of its number, name or lord. At the coming in of the Manasadevas to produce self-consciousness and to bring about the incarnation of the divine egos, four things occur on that plane. These four are given in the order of their appearance in time and space. 1. There appear upon the third subplane of the mental plane 9 vibratory impulses, corresponding to the five-fold vibration of these Manasadevas in conjunction with the four-fold vibration set up from below and inherent in the matter of this subplane. This produces the ninefold egoic lotus, which at this stage is tightly closed with the 9 petals folded. They are vibrant and scintillating light but not of excessive brightness. These lotus buds are in groups according to the influence of the particular ones of the five-fold Dyanis who are acting upon it and who form it out of their own substance, coloring it faintly with the fire of manas. 2. A triangle of fire appears on the mental plane that is produced by manasic activity, and it begins to slowly circulate between the manasic permanent atom and a point at the center of the egoic lotus, and thence to the mental unit, which has appeared upon the fourth subplane through innate instinct that only approximates mentality. This triangle waxes ever brighter until it produces an answering vibration from both the lower and the higher. This triangle is the nucleus of the Antakarana. The work of the highly evolved man is to reduce this triangle to a unity, and by means of high aspiration, which is transmuted desired affecting mental matter, turn it into the path, and thus reproduce in a higher synthetic form the earlier path along which the descending spirit came to take possession of the vehicle, the causal body, and from thence again work through the lower personal self. 3. A downflow of buddhi takes place along the line of the manasic triangle until it reaches a point at the very center of the lotus. There, by the power of its own vibration, it causes a change in the appearance of the lotus. At the very heart of the lotus, 3 more petals appear which close in on the central flame, covering it closely, and remaining closed until the time comes for the revelation of the jewel in the lotus. The egoic lotus is now composed of 12 petals. 9 of these appear at this stage in bud form and 3 are completely hidden and mysterious. At the same time, the 3 permanent atoms are enclosed within the lotus, and are seen by the clairvoyant as 3 points of light in the lower part of the bud, beneath the central portion. They form at this stage a dimly burning triangle. The causal body, though only in an embryonic condition, is now ready for full activity as the eons slip away, and is complete in all its threefold nature. The matter aspect, which concerns the material form of the man in the 3 worlds, or his active intelligent personal self, can be developed and controlled through the medium of the mental unit, the astral permanent atom and the physical permanent atom. End of page 77. The spirit aspect lies concealed at the heart of the lotus, in due course of time to stand revealed when the Manasadevas have done their work. The will that persists forever is there. The consciousness aspect embodying the love wisdom of the divine ego as it reveals itself by the means of mind is predominantly there, and in the 9 petals and their vibratory capacity lies hid all opportunity, all innate capacity to progress, and all the ability to function as a self-conscious unit, that entity we call man. The Father in heaven is to be revealed through the Christ, the Son, by the method of incarnation made possible through the work of the Holy Spirit. All of this is being brought about by the intelligent sacrifice of certain cosmic entities who offer themselves up in order that man may be free. 4. When these 3 events have occurred, the light or fire that circulates along the manasic triangle is withdrawn to the center of the lotus, and this prototype of the future Antakarana disappears. The threefold energy of the petals, the atoms and the jewel is now centralized because impulse must now be generated, which will produce a downflow of energy from the newly made causal vehicle into the three worlds of human endeavor. 5. The Agnishvatas construct the petals out of their own substance, and proceed to energize the permanent atoms with their own positive force so as to bring the fifth spirula into full activity and usefulness. As we have seen, the work of the Agnishvatas on the mental plane resulted in a downflow of force or energy from the monad, or spirit, and this, in conjunction with the energy of the lower quaternary, produced the appearance of the body of the ego on the mental plane. In ordinary electric light, we have a faint illustration of the thought I seek to convey. By the approximation of the two polarities, light is created. By an analogous type of electrical phenomena, the light of the monad shines forth, but we have to extend the idea to the subtler planes, and deal with 7 types of force or energy in connection with the one polarity and with 4 in connection with the other. The Manasadevas are the cosmic prototypes of our solar angels, who embody as much of that will and purpose as they can work through in one incarnation. They work, therefore, with egoic groups and only with mental units of the separated identities after they have individualized. Their work might be described as follows. Primarily, they bring about the union of the divine ego and the lower personal self. This has been dealt with. Secondly, they work through the mental units, impressing upon the atom that portion, microscopic as it may be, of the logoic purpose which the individual can work out on the physical plane. At first their influence is unconsciously assimilated, and the man responds to the plan blindly and ignorantly. Later, as evolution proceeds, their work is recognized by the man in a conscious cooperation with the plan of evolution. After the third initiation, the will or purpose aspect predominates. Individualization, a form of initiation. From the most esoteric standpoint, man is a deva, he is spirit and deva substance, united through the work of conscious deva energy. He unites within himself the 3 aspects of the deity. He is, while in objectivity, a. the self, the not self, and the intelligent link in a very vital sense. b. he is Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, in synthetic manifestation. c. he is the medium whereby the will of God, the love of God, and the mind of God become intelligible and apparent. d. he is positive electrical force, plus negative electrical force, plus the equilibrizing medium. e. he is the flame, the fire, and the spark in essential manifestation. f. he is electric fire, solar fire and fire by friction. The Brahma aspect, that in which the not self or material aspect is apparent and predominant. This covers the Subhuman stages, and the first 3 cycles of the personality life. a. First cycle, savage state. b. Second cycle, average man. c. Third cycle, intellectual successful man. End of page 78. The Vishnu aspect, that in which the love-wisdom aspect gradually predominates and emerges through the medium of the Brahma aspect. It covers the final 2 stages of the human personality life, and that period of egoic growth which embraces the final 2 initiations. a. First cycle, the path of probation. b. Second cycle, the path of initiation, till the third initiation. c. Third cycle, that covering the fourth and fifth initiations. This is the temporary consummation, but just as in the animal kingdom, the human mind was latent and instinctive, and just as in the human kingdom the Buddhic aspect is latent and instinctive, so during the final cycle of human endeavor, the Atma, or highest aspect of the monad, is also latent and instinctive. This must produce later stages of development. There are no gaps in evolution, and no periods wherein there is total absence of any one aspect. All are ever present, but they show forth in alternation. Only when the fires of matter are blazing brightly, and become radiatory, does it become possible for the fire of mind to show forth, even though ever inherently present. Only when these two fires of matter and of mind have reached a stage of energetic heat and light, can the electric fire of spirit show forth in its glory. Only again when these three are unitedly burning does the fire of matter die down for lack of that which it may consume, and only when that occurs is it possible for the fires of mind, on mental levels, to burn up that which it has hitherto animated. When this is accomplished, the fire of pure spirit, increased and intensified by the gaseous essence of the fire of matter, or fire by friction and cullet, and rendered radiatory by the fire of mind, blazes forth in perfected glory, so that naught is seen save one vibrant flame. This idea can be extended away from man to a heavenly man, and again to the Logos in his cosmic relationship. End of chapter 16.